we've got my little helper here. What's your name?
Kelly.
McKinley's my helper. We just call her Swab, don't we?
Yeah, Bob.
All right, Swab. So today we're going to be working on sanding the teak trim that
Yeah.
goes along the ceiling of the salon.
And this, and this, and this.
Every one of them. Okay, so safety first. You got your safety goggles on?
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
The first thing we did here was to remove any of the small brads with a pair of needle nose pliers from the trim pieces. And then we were going to go ahead and get started on the sanding as the next step.
And you want to rub right on here, okay? And be careful you don't get a splinter, so just rub real gentle, okay? Can you do that?
Yes.
You have to hold it with one hand and rub it with the other one. Ready? Here, I'll hold it.
I do like to work neat, and this tool, this Fine Turbo 1 dust collector, portable dust collector vacuum system is awesome. You plug your sander or tool into the front of it. When you turn the tool on, it automatically comes on. It's good and powerful, relatively quiet compared to a regular shop vac. The thing's phenomenal. I'll put links down below if anyone's interested in picking one of these up.
We sand them and you help me wipe them clean, right? We got all the dust off of them, right?
And this, Bob.
Yep, we got all the dust off, right? Remember you wiped it with the green towel, the microfiber towel?
The
Yep.
green towel.
That's right. So I like to get these empty paint cans for mixing my varnish. They're clean inside, you can seal them back up, they're pretty easy to clean. It's a great way to do it. You never actually want to dip your brush down into the actual varnish can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this and I'm going to mix my varnish, 75% varnish and 25% paint thinner. That's a pretty thin mix, but because I sanded this down to the raw teak, I want something that's going to really penetrate into this wood for that first coat and give me a good smooth layer and deeply penetrate the wood. So I like to do this because with a 25% mixture of paint thinner, what's going to happen is when I paint this on, the paint thinner is going to evaporate much quicker and just leave the hard varnish down on that surface. So I really like this Helmsman Spar varnish. I'm sure there's a lot of other ones out there, but this one's pretty readily available and fairly inexpensive, and I've had really good luck with it. If you prepare the surface correctly and you apply it correctly, had some really nice results.
Yes.
So with varnish, you want to mix it and stir it with a stir stick. You're trying to avoid getting air bubbles in it, because air bubbles ultimately will cause a rough surface and just cause you more work after you put the material down. You'll have to sand it down more between coats. So I'm doing this in a circular motion, and I'm being very cautious to not create bubbles. I don't want to, think about the way you beat an egg for a scrambled egg. You don't want to do that. Small circles and mix it up real good. And I'm going to go ahead and mix some of this down here. Now, I don't have a lot here, so I'm not going to mix up much of this because it's a pretty thin mixture I'm doing.
The air is definitely your enemy when it comes to varnishing, so as soon as I'm done mixing and pouring from my primary can, I tap this thing closed just to be sure I'm preserving the material.
Alright, so we've got our varnish in, and now we're going to mix this up. And I'm just eyeballing this at about 25%.
Okay.
Honestly, I could be at 15, 20, 25, maybe 30. But trying to do on the lighter side of that, if anything. And what we really want to see is that's really, really thin here.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of see how that's coming off there. So that's what I really want.
That's right.
So I'm a big fan of these chip brushes. You can buy these things dirt cheap at Harbor Freight. You can actually see I let this one get wet. The outer edge is a little rusted, but the bristles are fine. And for what I'm doing, this is great. Purists will probably say you should use a beaver hair brush, but honestly, I have tried. I've yet to find a great way to clean these things, and I don't use them often enough to make it worth my while. So I prefer to do this. This is probably a bit of a brush overkill for what I'm painting here, but you can see here this is definitely a thin version. Can you see what we're doing there?
Yes.
Okay. 12 to 18-inch section. Blend it in nice. I like to do my strokes back and forth here so I fill in all these voids. And then once I've got that section covered, I slowly come back with some long, gentle strokes to blend it. You'll also hear varnishing guys talk about that being feathering as well. And today we're going to put on coat 2 of the varnish on the interior teak wood trims that go on the overhead in the salon. So away we go. If you remember, yesterday we went ahead and did the first coat of varnish. We sanded them down to bare wood, put the first coat of varnish on, and I mixed it about 75% varnish and about 25% thinner. Today I'm going to reduce that thinner a little bit more, probably 10 to 15% on this second coat. Because I'm putting this coat on before I head to work, I'm going to put some gloves on because I always end up getting a little bit on my hands. I'd like to avoid that. Again, chip brushes. Love these little things. I will say, when you first want to use one of these brushes, you want to get it a little bit damp. Otherwise it seems to streak a little bit. Now, once you have one coat on and you're starting to do your second, here's where getting your head low and looking at it, letting the light show all those brush strokes is a great way to see if you've missed anything. It's one thing when the wood is raw, it's pretty obvious when you have a good coat on there, but at this point it's harder to see those voids. And every once in a while when you use these chip brushes, you'll get a small bristle in there. What I do is I just run this kind of along the grain backwards and it'll pull that little bristle right off of there. But you got to do it while it's still wet, and you have to then come back and blend that spot. Because I can see the spots here where I just pushed the brush the wrong way. One thing I've noticed with these is if before you start, if you kind of brush them real hard up against a hard surface, the edge of a table, your hand, if you can actually take masking tape and roll it backwards, or blue tape, and rub on it to pull any of the loose hairs out, that's another good way of avoiding some of these bristles that can get down in your varnish. Well, we're in the storage shed today, and I'm going to go ahead and put on another coat of varnish. Let's kind of see how this looks. So I'm in here mixing up the varnish the way I've done before. I'm thinning it a little bit. It's a bit chilly today. It's probably in the high 40s, so I'm going to put probably less than 10% paint thinner in the varnish just to let it flow a little easier in the cooler weather. So, as usual, we want to mix this. We want to try not to get any air bubbles introduced into it. And we also want to make sure we get all of that thicker stuff that kind of tends to settle to the bottom up to the top. Do this just to get any of the loose hairs off of this, since I'm using one of these inexpensive chip brushes. This is in the actual finish. I'm just wanting to smooth it out. You'll hear people refer to that as wetting it out, keeping a wet edge. One of the things I love about using these gloves is I take the old brush that's already in a bristle, so some of the covers, basically just put it in my hand, turn the glove right inside out, kind of holds the brushes in there. Great way to dispose of them with the clean side out. And then I just repeat the same process in this hand. And got a nice clean surface to pick up and throw away. That works well. What I like to do here is
It's got honey on it.
don't touch it, and it's not honey. It looks like honey though, doesn't it?
It is honey.
It's not honey.
It is honey.
It's honey, it's not honey. It's because it's a chemical and it could hurt you. Don't touch it.
Oh,
You like?
it's me.
Yep, that says butterfly hatch.
Cat.
Yep. You helping me with tapping it?
This is my cat.
Is that too loud? You got them upside down.
Oh.
See, look, this part goes on your nose. No, upside down. What? No.
Oh. Ah.
So one thing I'm not sure of is why I was thinking that bringing the 2-year-old would make me productive at varnishing.
Yes.
Are you helping productivity or hurting it?
Hurting it.
Yeah, it's a very good point. She's a sweetheart. I love her to death, but she does not exactly increase productivity. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
We'd love it if you click the subscribe button and like this video. Please share it with your friends.